Hello, my name is Rafael Benavides, and today I will start a series of videos talking about Verrazzano. Do you know what is Verrazzano? So let me show you. First, let's go to this page here, oracle.com/java/Verrazzano. So let's take a look also at the Verrazzano project page. Verrazzano Enterprise Container Platform, the address is here, verrazzano.io. And if you open here documentation link or learn more, you will see that Verrazzano includes the following capabilities: hybrid and multi-cluster workload management, special handling for WebLogic, coherence, and Helidon applications. So this is nice because as a developer, and talking to developers, I will present what developers will use in their cloud native application and what are the features that Verrazzano can help you. So suppose that you have an application that has been under development for the last 5-10 years and you are using WebLogic, Verrazzano is for you. If you are using coherence, also Verrazzano is for you. And if you start producing new Java applications using microprofile, Helidon, and Verrazzano is for you as well. We have also a multi-cluster and infrastructure management, integrated and pre-wired application monitoring, and integrated security, DevOps, and GitOps enablement. In the last few days, on November 19th, I delivered a blog post that helps you to install and create a Verrazzano cluster locally. So what I will do today for this first video of this Verrazzano series is to install Verrazzano locally. Okay, so I will follow these steps, and you can also do the same if you want to install in your laptop. Okay, so the first thing, what we will do is first to create a cluster, a Kubernetes cluster, and for that purpose we will use kind. So what is kind? Kind is Kubernetes in Docker. So again, the first thing that we need in this environment here is to have a Docker container, a Docker engine configured. Okay, so in this case, I'm using a Mac laptop, a Mac machine with iOS. So the way that it's possible to use Docker locally in my iOS is through Docker Desktop. You can see that I have installed Docker Desktop here, and I have configured. I've changed the resources for this Docker engine to have 6 CPUs and 16 gigs of RAM. The other resources like 1 gig of swap and the disk size image is fine. Now that we have increased the amount of memory and CPU for Docker, we will first create a volume called containerd, and we will create a containerd volume. In this case, containerd volume has been created. Now we will inspect the container, this volume. So let's continue. Now we will create the cluster. Note here that we will create the Kubernetes cluster using Kubernetes version 120, and the host path that we saw previously here will be used as a mount point for the container path for this cluster. Okay, so let's just copy, or you can just click here, copy code snippet, and paste it here, and we will see the Kubernetes cluster being created. Okay, so it will do some steps like download the required image, prepare the nodes, set up the configuration, and start the control plane, and then we will have the Kubernetes cluster running. We'll pause the recording here, and we'll return when the Kubernetes cluster inside using kind is running. Okay, my Kubernetes cluster is running. And it instructs me to run kubectl cluster info context kind. So to make sure that I'm using kubectl is pointing to this cluster. Okay, let's wait. Yep, it's running. So I can do kubectl get nodes. Yeah, I just have the control plane running inside Docker. So kind is ready to deploy Kubernetes applications. And because Verrazzano requires a load balancer, what we will do is to set up Metal LB. So let me open Metal LB for you. Metal LB is a load balancer implementation for bare metal Kubernetes clusters. Okay, so we will use Metal LB to we'll deploy Metal LB using the kubectl apply for the version 0.10.3. Okay, we will create a secret, and finally we will deploy the Metal LB its resources. So all these resources, part security, service account, cluster role by deployment, daemon set has been deployed. We can even do kubectl. What is the namespace? The namespace Metal LB system. So kubectl get pods in the namespace Metal LB system. Pods are running. And what else we can do? Well, we need to configure Metal LB. Will not start until we configure it. And to configure Metal LB, we need to provide the network address. So let's run this command to get the subnet of kind. Okay, so docker inspect kind, and we'll get the subnet. So this is the subnet, and now we can provide this configuration here that a config map for Metal LB that will use IPs from 172.18.0.230 to 250. Okay, so let's deploy this config map. And now that we have a config map for Metal LB, Metal LB is ready to start being used. Okay, now it's time to install Verrazzano. Verrazzano is installed through an operator. We have the version 102 of this operator in the moment that I'm recording this video. So let's use it and deploy this operator. Okay, the operator is ready. And now let's wait it should be deployed. So let's wait here for running the command kubectl rollout status deployment of Verrazzano platform or operator in the namespace Verrazzano install. And once it's ready, we can continue by deploying Verrazzano itself. Okay, again, I will pause the recording and I will return when we have the Verrazzano operator running. Okay, now that we have the Verrazzano platform operator deployed, we can deploy a Verrazzano custom resource. So it's a resource especially it's customized for this operator. So this operator will read this custom resource and deploy Verrazzano for you. So what we need here is to just give the name. I call it Verrazzano, and the profile is dev. If we go to the Verrazzano page, we can see different profiles. So we have a production profile, a dev profile, a managed cluster profile. We will use dev because it's meant for local development. Okay, so it will perform a lightweight installation for evaluation purpose, no persistence, and single node of Elasticsearch cluster topology. Okay, so let me copy this resource and deploy this resource here. And now the Verrazzano cluster has been created. But what is happening here is that the cluster the operator is reading this information and performing the installation of Verrazzano. So we can follow this installation process running kubectl logs and getting the job Verrazzano install my Verrazzano to see to check what's happening in this installation process. Again, I will pause this recording here and I will return once Verrazzano is installed. Okay, now that we have installed Verrazzano, we can list all the consoles. This is described here in the blog post. Get VZ, which is the abbreviation of Verrazzano, and this will give me a list of consoles. But note here, it uses the NIP. This domain name uses NIP. NIP just resolves the IP address that you give here as in the domain name, and 172.18.0.231 is an internal subnet of Docker. And of course, we don't have access to this IP range in a Mac console because the Docker engine is running in another machine. So we need to use a way called Docker TunTap. So Docker TunTap is available through this project here. So let me clone this project, Docker TunTap. So this project, it will create an interface that will route my requests to inside Docker in Mac. Okay, now that I've cloned this project, what I will do is install Docker tap install. This is described also in this blog post. Okay, this will of course proceed with the installation. It needs special privilege, and once it installs, Docker will be restarted. So let's see Docker restarting here. Oops, there was an error. Docker cannot be opened, probably because Docker is already opened here. So let's try again. Already installed, perfect. Now that the Docker tap is installed, we will run Docker tap app to start the interface. Oh, it does not exist, so let's do the tap install with -f Docker tap app. Oh, let's see what's happening here. Oh, the Docker is still loading. Perfect. Now Docker is running. Let's try to run Docker tap app. Okay, and if we execute ifconfig, we will see this new interface here, tap1, with the inet address of 10.0.75.1. The broadcast is 10.0.75.2, so the gateway is 10.0.75.2. It's the IP address in the middle of this interface and the broadcast. Okay, so let's execute the command route add. So we'll create a route to that Docker interface 172.18.0.0, pointing to the IP address of this interface, of the gateway of this interface. Okay, so let me execute this. Done. And now we are ready to go. But it's not over yet, because if I try to access, it was not possible. There was a timeout because there was no route. But if I try to access, I will face another issue now with the Verrazzano console. Okay, you will see this error here. Error about the certificate. Of course, you can double click here and it will show the certificate of Verrazzano root CA. But we need to import this certificate to our keychain and make this certificate as trusted. Okay, there's some commands here that teach you how to do this. So let's copy everything. So it will get the certificate from Verrazzano console, from the Keycloak console, and from the Elasticsearch console. The certificate for Elasticsearch is the same one for Grafana, for Prometheus. Okay, so that's why we need just to get the first one. So let's copy everything and paste it here, and let's get all these certificates imported in the system keychain as a trusted certificate. Okay, there it goes. Now we can access, open the Verrazzano console. It redirected me to Verrazzano, and of course we need to get the credentials. So here we have instructions to get credentials for each one of these consoles. Grafana, Prometheus, Kibana, Elasticsearch. The user is Verrazzano. Here is how you get the passwords. So let me get this password and log it here. I don't want to save it. So the Verrazzano console is ready, and of course you can try every other console. You can try the Elasticsearch console, or you can try Rancher, you can try Prometheus, and so on. Okay? So I hope that you enjoyed this 30 minutes video where you learned how to install Verrazzano locally in your MacBook, and not only install, but how to access, how you can use ThumbTap interface to access resources inside your cluster. And keep in touch, because in the next videos I will show you how to use Verrazzano in a way that we will deploy a Java application using Helidon, or a Java application using WebLogic. So the idea is to guide you, or teach you, or to show how you can move an existing Java application to this new world of the cloud native applications. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video.